Okay, the page I want you guys to be on looks like this. There's actually 2 pages in your notes that look just like this, so I want to make sure you're on the right one. You should be on the one that says reflection up here at the top. So make sure it says reflection here and not rotation. Okay, everyone found the right page? All right, so I'm going to kind of talk through what we're going to do today. And then there's going to be some time where you guys get to work on the activity. So in the last couple of days, we've been actually performing reflections and rotations. Like we've been doing them manually with patty paper, on a graph, those kind of things. For reflections and rotations, if you have a specific line that you're reflecting over or like a specific angle that you're rotating over, there are some rules or like special rules that apply that we no longer would need to use patty paper for. And we're going to start today trying to figure out what those rules are so that you guys can use them in the future. On Monday, we'll also do that for rotations. So we'll be doing today's reflections. Monday, we're going to do pretty much the same thing that we do today, but we're going to talk about rotations instead. So to do this today, you're going to need a partner. So I need you guys to find, if you don't want a partner, you can work by yourself, but you need to be with one person. We're not doing a group of 3, a group of 4, 1 and 1 together. So find your partner, and then you guys also will need one computer between the 2 of you. Okay, so partner up, sit together.
Do I need to get my computer?
Yeah.
Come on in, I'll come. Yeah, come in. I don't know if it's charged. I think it is. Should be. Oh gosh, she got some charge.
I don't even know. I don't think mine's charged. So.
I know mine's charged. I don't know how much.
This is more.
Oh, we got like 60%. We're good. Wait, this is 60. I'll say 7. 10 more.
I think you have too many glasses.
Yeah, you should get
I'm going to need them for later classes.
Oh,
So I have bigger classes in this one. Okay, so I'm going to kind of talk through what we're doing here today. So make sure that you're paying attention. I know that you have your computer out in front of you, but that doesn't mean we should be opening up other tabs. I want you to pay attention to what we're doing, and I want you to go along with me so that when I give you guys time to work, you know what to do, and you're not sitting there stuck because you weren't listening to me right now, okay? When you guys are sitting together, make sure you guys are like sitting next to each other because you're both going to want to see the computer screen so that you can make sure that your partner's doing it correctly, okay? All right, so what we're going to do here on this page, we're going to look at some of these special rules for just reflections today. So up here, it gives you kind of these instructions. It says you're going to use GeoGebra. We're going to put some points on a graph here. We're going to put 1 in each quadrant, and we're going to put 1 on each axis, okay? GeoGebra is just a website that we can use. We'll use it sporadically throughout this class where we do a couple of different things with it, but it allows us to put things on a graph. It allows us to make points, lines, polygons, those kind of things. We're going to put, like I said, 6 points total on our graph. We're going to put 1 in each quadrant, which we talked about the quadrants yesterday. And we're going to put 1 on the x-axis and 1 on the y-axis, okay? Then I'm going to kind of show you and walk you through how do you actually perform the reflection. So in your directions up here, it has the buttons that you're going to push. Like you can see it talks about like using that reflection tool, which is like a line with 2 dots on it. It'll then prompt you on the website how to actually do the reflection. It'll kind of give you like, do this, and then it'll do the reflection for you. What we're using this page for right now is to kind of just write down all of the points that we're going to be working with today. Because after you are able to fill out this whole chart, what I want you to be able to do is recognize patterns or some kind of relationships between your coordinates. So when you get down to the bottom half of this page where it says reflection rule summary, instead of having like numbers down here, I want you to talk about it in terms of the X and the Y. Like what happened to those letters? Did something occur every single time you reflected over this specific line? And then how would you write that as a general rule so that if you were given any coordinate out there and you didn't have a graph and you didn't have patty paper, how could you use that rule to help you do your reflection? Okay? All right, so on your guys' computers, I want you to follow along with me here. You need to go to your Schoology page. When you guys get to Schoology, you're going to click on our class, okay? It just should say Modern Geometry. And at the very top, there's a link that I added titled GeoGebra. So I want everyone to open that up. You should be on this website and it should look like this. Okay? If you don't find it, let me know. Everyone there?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to walk you guys through how to do this. So we're going to do one point all together, and then we're going to let you guys have some time to do the rest of the points. Okay? So back on your notes, it said that we wanted to do a point in each quadrant. Okay? I'm going to put a point just in quadrant number 1 with you guys. So we're going to do this one together. To put a point on the graph, up here at the top, there's all these tools, guys. You're going to click on this one where it's like that dot next to the A. And right underneath it, there's a drop-down menu. Click on point. Okay, and then I'm going to put that over here. I'm going to put it at 2, 4. So right there in that corner of where 2, 4 is, I'm just going to click and drop my point. Now, if you click somewhere on the graph, I just want to clarify this because I already had kids first period do this. If you click like accidentally a little off of that intersection point, it'll put a point there. And it'll show up over here as like, 2.75 and 4.34, let's just say. You can go in and manually edit these points if you need to. So if you don't get it right where those lines cross, then you can actually just go in with your mouse, click on it, and then get rid of the decimals. And then once you hit enter, it'll reshift that point where it's supposed to be. Okay? All right. So we've got our first point. So now what I want us to do, let's go back to our notes and let's write this point down. I have it at 2, 4. So right here in my notes, I'm going to write 2, 4. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to do the actual reflection. So the first thing we want to reflect over here is the x-axis. Because of my chart, the first series of reflections that you're going to do is over the x-axis. Okay, so on this website, up here at the top, look for that button that's that line with those 2 dots on either side. So it's like 3 from the end of all those buttons. You're going to click on that and then click on Reflect About Line. And then you can see on your computer or even on my screen up here, see how in the bottom corner there, it says like kind of a little bit of directions. It says Select Object to Reflect and then the line. So I want to click on that point A, and I'm reflecting over the x-axis. Where's the x-axis at? Yeah, the horizontal. So anywhere down here, guys, it doesn't matter where you click. You just got to click on the x-axis somewhere, and the website should automatically reflect the point. Did it do that for you guys?
Yeah.
Okay, and then over there, it tells you where it is as a coordinate. What's your guys' saying?
2,
Good, 2, -4. So let's go write that down. 2, -4. Okay, then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come back to my website. You could continue to reflect that point, and you could leave them all on your graph if you want. Years past, sometimes for some students, when there gets to be a lot of points on the graph, they click on the wrong point. So here's what I would suggest you do, especially if you want to try to keep this as simple as possible. Up here, just hit that undo button. Get rid of that point that you just reflected. You're back to your original point at 2, 4, and we can do a new reflection here. And then you're not going to have, by the end of this, like 30 points on your graph. Because again, when you have a whole bunch of points, if you're not paying extra close attention, you might accidentally click on the wrong one. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to click on this button again, reflect about my line. I'm going to click on A. This time though, what's the second reflection from our chart and our notes?
y-axis.
Y-axis. So that's the one that goes up and down. So we're going to click on that. Where'd that point go?
-2, 4.
Good, -2, 4. So now we record it in our notes. Okay, let's talk about these next two. They say y equals 1x and y equals -1x. I just want to clarify something. What would be 1 times x?
1x.
It would just be x, right? So they have a 1 in here, but usually, guys, this is going to be written as just y equals x. And this one will be written as just y equals -x. I just want to let you guys know that now, because in the future, when you guys see a homework assignment, they aren't going to necessarily write 1x. They're going to write just x. But those are the same thing. They're putting that 1 in there and that -1 in there just to make sure that you don't miss the negative sign between the two. Okay, so I'm going to come back to my GeoGebra website. I'm going to click undo again because I just want to get rid of that point that I just reflected. And now I'm going to do another reflection. So I'm clicking on these same buttons, clicking on point A, but now I want to do over that line y equals x, which is this one that's going positively. So it's going down from the left corner up to the right corner. So anywhere on that line works. Click on it. Where did it go? Good. 4, 2. Did everyone get that on their graph? 4, 2?
Yeah.
Okay, and then we're just going to write that down. Okay, we've got one more to do. I'm going to undo what I did there. I'm going to click on the same buttons. Once again, you're going to click on this a lot today. Click on A. And then this time we want to go to the y equals -x, which is the other line that's going down from left to right. Click on that. Where'd your coordinate go?
-4, -2.
Good. -4, -2. Okay, did we follow along okay with what we're doing on the website, guys? So now what you're going to do is you're going to come back here to this website and you're going to do a whole bunch of other points. You're going to have to put one in the other quadrants and you'll put one on the x and the y axis. Now I just want to clarify something. If you get rid of the point, so if you go all the way back to the beginning, you've gotten rid of everything. It'll name this next point A still, but just know that this is now your point B on your guys' notes. If you were to keep A on there, then when you click another point, it'll automatically name it B. But again, if you keep A on there, just make sure you don't accidentally click on that one in the future because you're not using that point anymore. But so now what you need to do is you'll need to put one in quadrant 2. So you'll have to put a point in here somewhere. You'll have to put a point in quadrant 3 and in quadrant 4. And then you also need to put one on this axis, the x-axis, and on the y-axis. Okay? So I'm going to give you guys like 20, 25 minutes to try to get this done. Okay? You should be able to get it done. Everyone in first period did, and we had time to spare. Everyone got their homework done in first period too. Okay? So you should be able to fill out your chart and then try to do a summary of your rules. Okay? Anyone have questions about what we're doing right now?
I have a question. Can I do the same thing? Or I guess can I put like -2, 4? Or, you know.
Yeah, you could.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead and get to work, guys.
I'll just have you go. Just like that.
There's directions on
I
here.
don't think she said.
Just spacing out. I think I'm doing this
I
right.
don't remember anything about that. I just lost it.
Just lost it. Just. I think I know what I'm doing. So I'm going to keep doing it.
Why is it not working? There we go.
What'd you do? Something?
What'd you break it?
Well, there's like 2 minutes. There we go.
2, 3, 4.
Did you do one already? Where do you want to go?
I know. Somebody you broke.
All that stuff. Play number 5.
If you zoomed out, it would be 4. 4. If you zoomed out,
Or 2. Oh!
That is
Maybe we
pretty
gotta
cool.
do 4.
Which is 66.
Nah, I'm gonna keep it safe.
Come on, man. Your friends come too.
There is no 7. Oh, wait, hold on. There is. 4. There we go. I can just, oh, wait, hold on. 6. Oh, what's going on? They're just gonna stick with the 4.
Yeah.
I can't. I'm not trying to miss this. I only need one more. -0. 4.
No, not that's on the
Okay. Yep. What? Excuse me. There we go.
And not like classes.
Mine.
I like all my main classes.
Are we serious? Did he ask 67? So you're gonna take all this time to find what number that. There is no Z. Oh, hold on.
You want to do this one? Good thing I know what I'm doing, Ben.
Yeah.
Oh, we got 2 more. I don't want to do this.
That's.
Miss Anderson, can I do one on the origin? Kill 2
I
birds
would
with 1
recommend
stone.
that because you're not going to be able to skip that.
I'm killing 2 birds with 1 stone here, Miss Anderson. Okay, we'll do 6 on this one and 7 on the next one. Oh. Stick a 0. We gotta get a reflection going. Reflect that. Oh. Still there. Reflect that on the. Oh, it's negative.
Fascinating.
Maybe it'll be fascinating.
What happened to the original?
You did 1. You did 1.
Oh,
You remember that one? Trent is like, they let me try this this weekend.
Come on, man, with it.
Alright.
That was the stupidest thing ever.
No, and they were relevant for like 6 months too.
Same as, but number.
Zero negative 6.
X and negative.
Uh,
For the y-axis,
Sanderson, I'm cooking.
I wish my name was Swamp.
Gotta move the point. There we go. We're good now. We need -7. We'll do 0 -7. Ooh. 6 and then 7. Yeah. Oh, what? I
can think of it, but I don't want to put it all into words. There's a lot.
Is it up here? This is gonna be really annoying to go back and forth. Wow. 0.07.
Yeah.
I think that's back there. I have to do a reflection here. I'll do
I just want it to be tonight already.
No, still 0.97.
For people to get that, they just.
Now you look at your coordinates.
Hey, I'm trying.
And you discuss the action.
Am I
Writing
it's like
numbers.
if I see so
Hey, we like just got done right now. Wait, did I do the wrong? No, I think I did.
I think most of you are getting your charts pretty much filled out.
Wait.
So if you haven't yet written out the rule summary,
Oh, we're good.
look at your look at your first original points that you did, and then look at the new points that you reflected over a specific line. See if you can write out a rule. I don't want the rules down there to have numbers. It should say like X and Y to represent those coordinates. And then if anything happened to them, like how do you write that as a rule so you could use this for any set of numbers? So once you guys get your chart filled out, try to figure out what's the pattern and be able to write a way for that, a real general way.
So we're writing the words in here.
Not words, but like use X and Y to describe what happened.
Can you use words?
You don't need to use words for that. So like look at this. What do you notice about the X coordinates?
All stay the same. Like they all.
They all start as X, right? And then it changes. So I just write X. What happened with the Y stuff?
Negative. Some like half of them became negative.
And did negatives become positive?
Yeah.
So how would we write when something changes its signs?
Positive, negative? No. One negative 1y.
Or just negative Y? Okay. Because remember, the negative in front of the letter means changes its sign.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's always negative. It means it changes the sign.
I think I'm done with that. The Gavin lecture explained last night.
You heard about JCM?
Yeah. The rumor was because Eli Milky got in against Wes last year, and they were blowing him out. So he ruptured his spleen because of it. And then he transferred to healing. We thought the same thing would happen with Gavin. This Gavin got in last night. But hopefully it doesn't transfer to healing.
Like Gabe did.
You got your rules right?
High school healing procedures.
Alright.
There's a Beltran.
The first one. Go do the other three.
Actually, no, I told my husband.
Wait, so if half of them stayed positive and the other half like went to negative, would I put the negative?
If the X is also changing its sign, yes, you would put a negative with the X.
But some of them only changed X. Because some of them changed to negative and some of them stayed positive.
And I don't think you might not have the right numbers then. Like, show me what you mean.
Like, because this one's negative and these two are positive, and this one's negative.
Just do so many shapes and then not get rid of.
Okay, but you're comparing them to these.
I'm comparing them to these. Like,
Yes, you're comparing the original points to your new points.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense now. Yeah, so this one just has positive.
45.
Okay, yeah. I get that now. And then,
Oh yeah, because it's a really
then it's just normal Y. I'm figuring this out. I'm thinking.
rotate it so
I'll keep spacing out.
Wait.
Still school.
Yeah. Y is half X, I'm pretty sure. And these would be
Let's rotate it around
negative
so
Y.
much.
Oh, shoot. I don't think I'm jump shooting.
It's being
I think I just could, man.
I don't think Joe turned our project in.
I have a picture
Perfect.
and I'm not clicking on the same point every time. So we gotta go 90.
Just do this thing you could have done.
What have we done?
That's the worst thing.
Okay, try to wrap up your rules there, and then when you're done, close your computers.
Does this look right? Because like for these, they're the same, but like they flip around. Okay.
That was an
Oh, do we need
accident.
this last question on the bottom too?
For yourself, how are you going to remember these
It
rules?
was an accident. I didn't mean to.
If we have our rules written down, close your computer so I know who maybe is still working and who's done.
Joe's nonchalant today. So
I
you
see him like
all
sweating.
Joe got in last
Yeah, I know, I saw.
Oh, we were in family health and we were doing the sports thing. We were just throwing football around in family health, you know.
Are you guys done?
Wait a minute.
He would die for the ball and land on his sling.
Yeah, I know.
He just get off.
Even PE's back
Close your
all of a
computer if you're
sudden.
done.
And
You done?
I gave it like 7 touchdowns. I just walked the whole time. Because I ain't trying to sweat.
I know like Spanish, like the 100 is Garcia. Actually, that's like a Latin base. Like one slide says gone.
All right, let's talk about this now. So if you guys look at my table, I went in while you guys were working and I filled mine out. Now my points are different than yours, but that's okay. Because it's not really, the important part isn't what the numbers are, it's more of just what happened, what was going on with those X and those Y coordinates, okay? So if your numbers are different, that's fine, but they should be similar. Like they should have kind of looked the same way. As far as like that second point, the first number should have been negative and the second one should have been positive, okay? Now let's talk about these reflection rule summaries. What happened every time you reflected over the x-axis? X negative y? Why do we write it like that? The y became negative. When we talked last unit about doing those coordinate rules, like I would give you guys a shape on the graph and then I would give you a coordinate rule that you had to apply. Sometimes we had like a negative x or a negative y. That didn't mean, though, that it was always negative. We talked about how that meant that it changes its sign. So that's really what happened there. So the y's changed the sign, but the x didn't. Okay? What about for the y-axis rule? Good. Negative x, y. How about for that line y equals x? Keegan?
Wait.
This one right here.
Oh, YX.
Okay? Because they flip positions, right? The x and the y just kind of switch places there. And then what about the last one?
Negative X, negative Y. Or negative Y, negative X.
Good. So they flip still, and they also change signs. Just another reminder, remember that this actually means y equals x, and this means y equals negative x, because going forward on homework, you probably won't see the 1 in front of the x. On the bottom of that page, guys, it asks, can you think of a way to memorize those 4 reflection rules? If you wrote something down, that's fine. If you didn't, you need to just be thinking about how are you going to remember these rules? Because going forward, I'm not going to necessarily provide them for you. There might be times on a test or a quiz where I say, hey, what are your reflection rules? And I want you to write them down. So if there's something like some kind of pattern or something that you kind of recognize about what you reflected over and what the rule was that you wrote down, think of a way to solidify that for yourself so you can constantly recall that information. What I look at is if I'm reflecting over the x-axis, on a coordinate plane, there's x's and y's, okay? So if I'm on the x-axis, then I think opposite letter, which is y. So I think, okay, the y is going to change, the x is going to stay the same for the x-axis. For the y-axis, the opposite happens. Y stays the same, the opposite x is going to change. And then for the y equals x, like when I wrote it, guys, down here without the 1 in front of it, that rule itself, y equals x, is literally telling you you're flipping it around. you're taking the X and the Y and you're switching them. So you just have to be able to recognize that and then also understand that there's a negative that switches the signs to. So make sure going forward that you find a way to remember those, because I'm not going to provide them all the time on like a quiz or a test. You're going to have to be able to recall those on yourself. Okay, now Monday when we come back, we're going to be talking about rotations. So we're going to do something really similar. We're going to use that same website, but we're going to do it differently with the rotations to try to figure out those rules too. Okay, do we have any questions about these rules? Okay, so I do have a worksheet